The story unfolding around Angel Reese and Courtney VanderSloot feels less like a simple sports headline and more like a brutal lesson about timing, perception, and the unforgiving nature of public narrative in modern sports culture. In professional basketball, talent matters, production matters, but reputation and respect can shape careers just as powerfully as points and rebounds. What makes this situation so explosive is not just the contrast between two players at different stages of their careers, but how quickly momentum in the spotlight can shift when opportunity, media attention, and public opinion collide all at once. For months, conversations around Angel centered on star power, brand building, and expansion beyond basketball. She became a cultural figure, someone who represented the next generation of athletes blending sports, fashion, entertainment, and social media presence into one identity. That type of crossover appeal is rare, and when it happens, it usually signals a player who could become bigger than the sport itself. But professional leagues have long memories, and locker rooms run on a currency that has nothing to do with followers or endorsements. That currency is respect. Veterans in any league represent the history, the foundation, and the sacrifices that built the platform younger players now benefit from. When tension forms between generations, the public does not always see the nuance. They see contrast, experience versus youth, legacy versus hype, stability versus disruption. Courtney VanderSloot represents something old school and deeply respected inside basketball culture: longevity, leadership, and consistency. She built her reputation through years of performance, team leadership, and reliability in high-pressure moments. For players like that, the narrative is rarely flashy. It is built quietly through seasons, playoff runs, and trust earned from teammates and coaches. When a veteran player suffers a major injury, especially one that threatens career longevity, the league usually rallies around them. Teammates show support. Fans show loyalty. Organizations emphasize appreciation for what that player has contributed. That is part of the unwritten culture of professional sports. When public criticism or perceived disrespect enters that moment, it can create emotional reactions far beyond basketball strategy or roster planning. The moment that changed everything was not a game-winning shot or a playoff collapse. It was perception. Whether comments were interpreted as harsh honesty or public disrespect, the damage happened in the court of public opinion. In today's media environment, once a narrative forms, it spreads faster than any official clarification. Social media compresses context. Headlines remove nuance. Suddenly, a complex locker room dynamic becomes a simple hero versus villain storyline. That is exactly what seems to have happened here. One player became associated with youth, ambition, and controversy. The other became associated with resilience, professionalism, and legacy. Then came the television appearance, and that is where the story shifted from internal league drama to mainstream cultural symbolism. When a veteran player appears on a major network show representing her team, especially in a storyline tied to injury recovery and perseverance, it creates a powerful emotional image. It shows durability. It shows relevance beyond the court. It reminds casual audiences that sports are built on human stories, not just stats. For viewers who do not follow basketball closely, moments like that can redefine how they see a player. Suddenly, that veteran is not just an athlete. She becomes an ambassador, a symbol of resilience, and someone relatable to a wider audience. The real impact of something like this is not about acting talent or television exposure alone. It is about narrative ownership. When a veteran is showcased during a comeback story while a younger star is associated with controversy, the public begins to frame the story in moral terms. Hard work versus ego. Loyalty versus ambition. Experience versus impatience. Whether fair or not, those simplified narratives stick because they are easy to understand and emotionally satisfying for audiences. Another layer of this story is how organizations communicate values without speaking directly. Teams rarely make public statements criticizing players unless absolutely necessary. Instead, they send signals through opportunities, partnerships, and visibility. When an organization highlights a specific player in a public-facing role, it often reflects trust. It shows who they believe represents the brand safely and positively. For fans and media, those choices are rarely seen as random. They are interpreted as statements about identity, culture, and direction. The deeper lesson here is about how fragile public perception can be, especially for young stars navigating sudden fame. The modern athlete is expected to perform at an elite level while also managing brand image, media narratives, and social media expectations. One poorly timed comment or misunderstood statement can reshape how an entire audience sees you.
Veterans often survive longer because they learned these lessons slowly over years, not instantly under a spotlight.
There is also a generational tension happening across all professional sports right now. Younger athletes are entering leagues with personal brands already built. They arrive with confidence and influence that previous generations had to earn over time. That shift creates friction because traditional locker room culture values hierarchy built on experience and sacrifice. When those two worlds collide publicly, fans often side with legacy and history because it feels stable and proven. At the same time, it is important to recognize that careers are long and narratives change quickly. Many players have early controversies that later become footnotes. Growth, maturity, and time can rewrite reputations. The public loves redemption arcs almost as much as it loves controversy. One season, one interview cycle, or one locker room dynamic rarely defines an entire career unless the pattern continues. What makes this moment so dramatic is timing. Women's basketball is in a massive growth phase. New stars are arriving. Media coverage is expanding. Sponsorship money is increasing. Cultural relevance is rising faster than ever before. That means every storyline gets amplified. Every conflict becomes symbolic. Every public moment gets dissected through the lens of the sport's overall future.
When tensions happen during growth periods, they feel bigger than they would during stable eras.
The reality is that both types of players matter to a league's success. The veterans who built the foundation create credibility. The young stars who attract new audiences create growth. When those groups are aligned, leagues thrive. When they are divided publicly, it creates narrative chaos that fans, media, and sponsors all react to differently. In the end, this story is less about revenge or karma and more about how fast opportunity shifts in modern sports. One moment you are building a brand. The next moment someone else is becoming the symbol of resilience and professionalism in front of millions of viewers. That is how quickly attention moves. That is how quickly narrative power changes hands. If this deep dive into one of the most talked about storylines in basketball culture kept you hooked, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more long-form breakdowns of sports, media, and athlete narratives, and drop a comment sharing your perspective. Do you think moments like this shape careers long-term, or do you think talent always wins in the end? Let's talk about it.